I think it's a curious thing to grieve somebody that you don't know. I have no recollection of him. He died when I was 2 years old. All my growing up years, I watched family members guard themselves against feeling too much about my dad. As a child, I was careful about when I asked things and who I asked them to, and most of the time not around my mom because she always teared up and couldn't talk for more than a few sentences about him. I think it's frightening to open yourself up to feeling. My image of God was kind of the same image I had of my own dad. Like, you know, he's up in the clouds, he's watching, he's saying, oh, look at Sue, she's such a good little girl. And it's kind of that idea that people have that the dead watch you from heaven, like they don't have anything else to do. And it kind of put God in this category of, I'm proud of her, but I'm really not invested, I'm really not involved. Somehow when you mature, you start realizing the gaps that you have in your own psyche, in your own spiritual state. And as I got older, I started feeling a loss. There would be like a longing for something in my life, and it wasn't a relationship with God because I already had one, but I just started feeling like there were some emotional holes there. So I kind of started exploring this idea of God as my father. It actually happened because I was in a Bible study and everybody had this great idea to do a Bible study on God as our Father. And I thought, well, this is going to be horrible. My concept of God as my Father was absent. You can read about him, you can learn about him, but you're not going to actually feel relationship with God because he's not here. That was kind of depressing to me when I really labeled it. I thought, wow, okay, this is kind of warped, that I think God is not here because he's omnipresent, and you know, he's always revealing himself with different names to people in the Bible, and he's trying to show that he is here. And while I was doing this study, I really prayed for God to reveal yourself to me, because obviously there's some sort of a gap here in my connection to you, and I don't know how to connect. I don't know how to make the gap go away because I don't have a dad, so I don't see you as a dad. I can pray to you as a father, but it means nothing. I feel like you're a million miles away. I know all about you, but I don't really know you. And I'm like, well, that's very much how I feel about my own dad. I said, well, I'm just going to start praying for God to reveal himself to me in whatever way he can, and give me a word, give me something. And this word popped into my head during devotions one time, Shama. And like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, you know, some cool, weird prayer language kind of word, or maybe it's not really a word. And so I just started praying with using Shama in my prayers, and then it occurred to me one day that it kind of has a Hebrew sound to it, so I should look it up and see if it really actually is a real word, which I did. Looked up in my Bible, and lo and behold, it's in the list of names that God gives himself. And Shama means present. Jehovah Shammah is the God who is present. And I immediately started crying, and I thought, wow, I asked for you to reveal yourself, and you did it in the exact way that was lacking in me. I've accused you of not being present, and you even have a name for yourself that says that you are. I decided that I needed to immerse myself in a more relational way with the relational passages of Scripture. So Psalms has been a really big camp-out spot for me, because in the Psalms, David is constantly describing who God is and what God does. And I just began reading really all of Scripture with a different perspective. I started reading it with the Shama perspective, that God is present, and I started noticing when he was present for people, instead of always focusing on what he did or what happened in certain situations. You know, I'm always drawn to a story, and I think I tended to focus on the stories in Scripture or the commands in Scripture rather than focusing on God himself, which Hello, that's why we even have the Bible, is God's revealing himself to us. The more that I'm in Scripture and the more that I'm praying, the more that I feel like I'm in a relationship. I think my pursuit of God as a father opened up other doors for me to pursue. So in 2012, I was doing research online in the middle of the night. I had typed in little information I knew about my dad's plane and my dad's crash, and I started finding websites that were talking about it, and I ended up finding out that in Southern California, there's an aviation archaeologist. I was able to contact him, and my husband and I went out. I sat in a chair, a whole chair that's still intact at the bottom of a valley. Could have been his chair, I don't know, but I sat there and I prayed and I honored him, and that whole experience was such a holy moment for me. It was a moment when God closed up some of the loss that I had felt, and at the same time revealed more about himself to me. I came away with such a better understanding of God and my relationship with him. Had I not been willing to blow open some of those doors earlier, I never would have been brave enough to go there in the first place. I'm Sue Schlesman. I'm no longer fatherless.